Hi there, thanks for joining me. If you're new here, welcome. I'm Catherine. I'm up here in Canada and I make journals out of old books. And right now I'm working on some Christmas journals. This particular book is from 1919. Of course, now I've lost my little note that I wrote to myself. I believe it's 1919. It's old. It's over 100 years old. And it's actually not about Christmas. It's about mythology. It's about the golden apples. But for some reason, it has a Christmas cover on it. And the interior, here's the text block. I've already gutted it. I have a lot of videos. If you're new here and you're going, well, how did you do that? Please go through my old videos because I've gutted many books on camera. And yes, there is a secret to it, to do it safely so that if you want to save your spine, which I do in this case. I've already taken it out. I've already taken back the end papers as much as I can. I can't remove the end papers from over here because this is paper and it's over 100 years old. So if I scrape at it, but I do want to get this off. So let's just do this right now while we're here. Of all the funny things, for some books, using the edge of my Tweezerman tweezers. Don't worry, I have a separate set I use for my brows and things on my makeup table. I just find that little corner of my Tweezerman tweezers is just sometimes the right thing. I have different, depending on the paper and the glue and the age and how it's behaving with me, I sometimes will use my old kitchen knife, and I sometimes will use my special knife that my son-in-law made for me to remove papers. And in this case, after trying them all, oh, that fell, Tweezerman, one out. But I have to stop there. I learned down here because the paper with the sweet little girl here would want to come up with it. So that's where we'll stop. I'm not going to argue with it. There we go. All right, so I came to a decision. Wasn't sure what to do with this because I love it. It's very pretty. It says the golden apples, which is what the actual story is in the book. But for some reason, it has Christmassy end papers. Here's a little girl in a winter outfit, and on the back are 3 children in winter outfits. And it's a soft green. I don't know if my camera is picking it up, but it's a very pretty soft green and ivory. And, oh, there we go, 1918. I was off by a year. I knew I had that Post-it note somewhere, which I want to use this again. But I've actually decided I don't want to use it as an end paper. I was going to put it back in and just replace this old one with it as the end paper. But I actually want to do something else, but I still want to use it. Often with old books, I will put the original first page back in, especially if it has the year of publication in it. This one doesn't. I had to find it online. It was from a series of books. And that's how I was able to find out what year it was published. So I'm probably not going to use this as my first page. I don't think. I may come up with a way of Christmasizing this. I'm thinking about it. But I'm also thinking of simply using one of these as the first page and this one as the final page in the book. So in case you were panicking and thinking, Catherine, you've got to use them. They're so sweet, and they really are. They're really sweet, but they're not going to get used there. Now here some of the paper is coming up a bit. So I am toying with the idea of metal corners. Because this is paper, it's not book cloth. But that's something that would be done as probably the very last thing. I guess I should set my timer. Hold on. Or I will talk on and on and on for 45 minutes. And that can just be too much sometimes. So, I'm not sure if you're waiting with bated breath. Well, what's she going to do with it? Well, first of all, she's going to glue this paper back down. And this, I've been doing this all along. Turns out it actually is a book thing that you can do. I learned that from Sophia over at Save Your Books, who actually is a trained book restorer. I am not. I'm self-taught and educated on using the by guess and by golly, an autodidact, as I used to like to tell my homeschooled children. You are autodidacts. And it just sounds like really cool. It just means self-taught. And also from other wonderful, similar artists who share what they know. That's the beauty of YouTube, isn't it? We share what we know. And a few online classes. Nick the Booksmith, I know, has some really great online classes. And there's a few others that are offering online classes. Now, I was going to use this lace. Oh, I've got tape and a pin. Huh. Let's put that over there. There we go. I was going to use this lace, but I thought it was way too plain. So, I hate wasting time fiddling with things like tape. But then, this past weekend, when Nancy popped by, this glorious lace landed in my lap, and this lace was meant to be. So it's going to go on there. And that way, what I plan to do is, first I'm going to glue it down, and then I'm actually going to sew right through the cover to make sure it stays put. Because I don't want it lifting from being used, but I want the owner to be able to lift and see what the book actually was. So hopefully the new owner will appreciate that the way that's something I would appreciate. I'd want to know, even though this is going to be a Christmassy journal, a seasonal journal. I think I think they'd like to know what its first life really was. So in that, for that reason, I would also send along a few of the pages. They might be fun to use as backgrounds for making tags. I'll send along the illustrations as well. There's a few. They're black and white. They're not spectacular. But oh, come on. Of course, now I can't. There. See? But I'll send them along, and then it's up to the new owner whether they, maybe somebody with a really amazing imagination will come up with something fabulous. So, 3-in-1. Then I've still got other plans for it. So, first thing is, I'm going to do 3-in-1 along this ridge, but leave that ruffle free. Now, where's my other one? My other one's getting quite thick, but it's got a smaller nib. So if we can be patient for it to make its way down, I really should fill it up with fresh. This has been watered down with acetone a few times, and I find you can only do that little trick a couple of times, and then eventually the glue says, nah. I just want to hold it in place. Actually, now that I think about it, because I just want to hold it in place, I think I'm going to use art glitter glue, because I just want to hold it in place because I'm going to sew through that line. So some people will use art glitter glue with fabric to paper products and are very happy with the results. So, and if that's your case, awesome. I have not found that for me to be the case. So again, no, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. It's just for me, but it's great to hold it in place momentarily if you're planning on doing something else in order to strengthen it another way. Now I want it there, and I want it straight. The nice thing about doing the art glitter glue is it dries clear. So this little bit here shouldn't go shiny. There we go. All right, now I'm going to flip this over. Some makers will trim it, and that's terrific. If that's what you do, do it. I'm going to fold this over and so that it will tuck neatly underneath the new end papers that will get put on top, pardon me, and it will go underneath. So, again, that's all personal preference. in this part I will glue. It'll make it a little bit lumpy. This is a little heavy. I may take this part off. It's quite bulky. And I know the end papers will come up above that. There we go. That's good. Hope this is making sense. Now I've used these with our 3-in-1, and I'm going to have to clean my blades with acetone when I'm done. Alrighty. And then I've got something I think is cool planned. Hopefully you do too. I guess it's all in the eye of the beholder, right? Now, let's see how high I need that. I didn't need that much glue. There. And I'll put the glue on here instead. Alrighty. Let's flipperoo. Alright, I'm happy. Let's hope that's still got time to move. Although it's not going to matter. That's going to get covered up. So this will still lift. They can still peek underneath and see that this book actually was The Golden Apples, even though the beautiful child on the cover is carrying a bouquet of holly and berries. I don't know, but I'm glad they made it, and I'm glad I found it on the shelf. It caught my eye, and I'm not sure why, because they didn't put the title on the spine, which now I'm glad about. All right, I'm going to go over, and I'm going to sew this. So I'm going to pause and go do that. Okay, so, oh, these things are cool. If you're ever, if the Fiskars aren't in your budget, these are getting quite expensive. At least up here in Canada on Amazon, they're going for $20 a pair now. Still worth it, I say. Nancy found some for a really good price last week. At a store out where she lives, and managed to grab me a pair. But if you ever want some that are very similar, and I find them, they're pretty terrific, is these are from Dollar Tree, and they're actually in the plant care section. I don't know whether they'd have them this time of year. I bought them in the spring when they were getting all their gardening supplies in. They're gardening for trimming plants. And I just find that because of that spring, if you're like me and you have arthritis in your hands, that spring makes all the difference for your hand not hurting so much after doing a lot of cutting. And it does fine on paper. I keep these ones specifically, these blue-handled ones, beside my sewing machine so that they don't go missing. All right, so you know me and threads. I love the threads. Let's I'm going to tie them off. If I change my mind, I'll trim them. Okay, so now I'm quite, I feel more at ease that this lace is not going anywhere. even with years of use ahead, hopefully. Oh, I only see one thread. Must have got tangled. Oh, there we go. Not bad. This book must have been quite well made because I would have expected a book over 100 years old to be, the cover to be a little bit mushier. I had to put a little oomph into it with my good old sewing machine, but thank goodness it's just a tough old Canmore. Canmore was the brand that Sears used to make. And I gotta tell you, I had a lot of Kenmore appliances over the years, and I was always very happy with them. I had one that needed some repairs once, and the guy that came in to work on it, I remember him telling me, because I said to him, I said, I think it was my washing machine or the dryer. And I said, I'm surprised it broke down. I said, this is a tough old girl. I said, and I do a lot of laundry, 5 kids. And he said, oh, I'm not surprised. And I said, and it's secondhand. It was my mom's, and she had 4 kids. And he said, I'm not surprised to hear that. A lot of people didn't know. He said, Kenmore appliances were actually made by Maytag. They just Sears just wanted their name on it for them to sell. So there you go. So it was actually a Maytag machine, even though it was a Kenmore machine. There's a little. So I don't know if Maytag makes sewing machines or not, but maybe they had a deal with someone else, because I got to tell you, my mom's old sewing machine, it sews through all kinds of stuff. Now, I love the little hints of red here. Her little bonnet, the berries, and her little dress peeking out from under the cloak. So I got out some sari silk, and this is unironed. When it's pressed, it's beautiful, and I also appreciate it unpressed. I like it rough sometimes, you know? Sometimes you want it in its original state. It has a lot of character. So I'm just going to tidy this a little bit before I get going, because you're going to see with this sari silk, if you're Canadian, I have a place where I've ordered from, and I find their shipping is very quick. If I seem to recall, it's free shipping. I seem to recall, which is even a bonus. But I don't know if you can tell, it's not all the same shade of red. It varies a little because of the dye. And some of this red is kind of a candy pink. It's kind of a burgundy, actually. And some of it is a closer red to what this little hat, the little bonnet and dress is. And that's the part that I want. So I'm going to have to cut into the middle of this, because I actually want this in all its mucky mess glued down onto the edge of that. But I don't want these threads, so I'm just trimming them. So I don't know whether you can tell the difference in the shades. Like I said, you can see how there was some orange here. Oh, now I've got to find it again. There it is. And I don't mind it being like, I like that part where it's been sewn back together again. And I kind of kind of want to include that. Now this part of it I wish I could sew down, and I may still figure out a way. The problem with sewing it down is I don't want to have to iron it in order to sew it. I wonder if I should just give up on my hopes and dreams of including this where it's been joined together and just go with that. Yeah. Yes. All right. Off. Off with its head. So I need room there, and I need room down here so I can, again, wrap it around so that the end papers will cover it. And then I've got, if I do decide to sew through, I have some red thread to sew it. And I might find a way to try and spread it open and hold it open while I put it through my machine. See how wide it actually really is if you don't iron it. And I like all three ironings. Nancy can get it beautifully pressed flat. And then I like it partially pressed, so you get that width, but you still have the wrinkles. I like that too. And then I like this. So I'm going to use my 3-in-1 again. I just want it to hold in case I decide I'm not going to sew through. So I'm going to go here and give it a good amount. It will be wrapped around, so I'm going to spread it while I glue it down and then let it wrinkle up. And I hope that makes sense to you. And I don't care if it's bleeding through, because see, it's going to wrinkle up over it. And look kind of mucky. Yeah, I like that. Let's move you over a little bit. I want that to roll over where I've glued. And if I have to, I'll pull it off and do it again. Let's see. Yep. That's going to work. Okay. Now, are you going to work? Because you look like you're giving me a bit of grief here. I might glue you down afterwards so that you curl over, or take the iron to it. Yes, that will work. Okay. All right, so now here's where I may spread this out. So I think I am going to have to trim this. It's going to get in the way. I have to be so careful with my threads now. There once was a time. Oh, there goes my timer. I'm going to give myself 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes. Okay, reset. Five minutes. Start. There once was a time. Oh gosh. Well, that thought's gone right out of my head. There once was a time. All right, let's glue this. I wonder what I was going to say. My husband and I were just talking about that the other night because he wanted reassurance. He said, "Are you forgetting things a lot lately, like why you walked into a room?" And I said, "Oh my goodness, yes, several times a day." And he said, "Do you think we're okay?" And I said, "Well, here's what I was told when I used to go to my Alzheimer caregiver support meetings." Oh, now I remember what I was going to talk about, but I'm on to another thing. Yes. The time to start worrying about your memory is if you forget your glasses, if you forget to bring your glasses somewhere, that's normal. But if you forget that you need glasses, then it's time to worry that there's something more going on with your memory. And so that made him feel a little better. I may debulk this one a bit. It's a little bulky. And I want our papers to lie nicely. I may get you there. Let's see. This is going to come back, so don't panic and go, "Oh, Catherine, that looks hideous." You gotta trust me on this. This is going to look really, really good. Please trust me. That's going to come in. If I have to use a little bit of an iron there, and you put back, you little stinker. Again, I'm going to debulk you a bit. Yes, so now the threads. I have to be really careful with the threads. See, there we go. See, I remembered what I was talking about eventually. I used to just drop them all over the floor. And then I'm spoiled rotten. Yes, I know. My husband would come in and vacuum my studio because there's carpeting up here. It's just one of the bedrooms upstairs. Once a week. Get up all the threads, especially when I was sewing masks. Because Dot never came in here. Dot had a little bed that she liked right over by the doorway. And she really never ever came in the room except to give me a little paw if she needed to visit outside. And, but of course, new little Yoo-hoo over here, who is blessedly sound asleep, she's all over the place and she's licking whatever she can lick. And threads are very dangerous for dogs to swallow. They can get tangled up in their digestive system and kill them. So I have to be really careful now. My floor in here in my art room has never been so tidy in years. Thanks to Kirby. Yeah, okay. Are you seeing where I'm going here? I hope you're liking that as much as I'm liking, but it's a little... Now I'm going to sew that down off camera because we're getting close to the end, but I do want to show you what my plans are for the end papers. Yes, I hear you. I used up my 5 minutes. Where did the book go? Of my stack of books for cutting things, this is a beautiful one, so if you ever see it, grab it. A Victorian Christmas, Joy to the World. It's stunningly beautiful. And I'm going to choose end papers from out of here. I've already used one page in another journal of that end paper. I'll show you what it looked like. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? I hope it's not too shiny. So I will be, like, I even like that. I love this. I love that all the Santa Clauses in here. Since there's a child on the cover, I don't usually go for Santas in my Christmas journals, but there's a child on the cover. Look at that. Wouldn't that make beautiful end paper? I like that they all have that sort of Father Christmas kind of bell-snickle. The Santa with the hood, not the Coca-Cola Santa. Like, I love him. I love here that there's the baby Jesus with the angel and the old-fashioned St. Nicholas type Santas, Father Christmas kind of Santas. Ooh, there's Krampus. Ooh, he's not good. He's the one that goes for the children who are on the naughty list, and they're the ones who get coal and not nice things. You can see here, it's a beautiful, beautiful book. But I'm not above cutting it up for my needs. To make beautiful junk journals, I will cut this book up with no guilt because my journals will be very pretty and I will be happy. So, thanks for joining me today. I hope it wasn't too dull. Not everything's exciting when you're putting together a book. I like that already. But I still think I will spread it open, run a stitch down the center, and crimple it back together again. And then there's what I wanted, to be able to lift it up and see what it was. And there we go. Take care. Hope you have a great rest of your day. If you didn't see yesterday's video, go take a look, because my little Catherine card for December is going to be given away on Monday. There she is in all of her Christmas glory. And she could be hanging on your tree this year. So go see the previous video. I'll put a link down below. And it's so easy to join in on the fun. And I will be doing a random name picker on Monday to see where she travels off to, somewhere around the world. And maybe she'll go somewhere really far and exotic. That would be very cool. All right. Bye. Talk soon.